And guess what? The awesome part about this is we're going to be writing them in slope-intercept form. Which, guess what? You're really comfortable with, right? So there are some new things that I haven't shown you, but for the most part, you're pretty comfortable with slope-intercept form, I would think. It's y equals mx plus b, right? And the y and the x are staying in the equation for the most part, and it's the m and the b that you take out and replace, right? You guys know that your b is your beginning value, okay? You guys know that your m is where you move. It's your slope, right? So it starts you out really easy. It's going to say, hey, write me an equation in slope-intercept form with the slope of 1/2 and a y-intercept of -4. That's really wordy, isn't it? So I want you guys to know that when you see a lot of words like the bell work we just did, if you just stop and slow down and read it, it's going to make sense. So listen to everything that comes out of my mouth. Write me an equation, a linear equation in slope-intercept form with the slope of 1/2 and a y-intercept of -4. That's a lot, but it's really simple, right? It's basically just saying, oh, so the slope is the coefficient for x, and the y-intercept is the constant at the end. Yes, that's all there is to it, right? And then they get a little bit tricky, like if I give you the slope is 0 and the y-intercept is -2. So you could write it like this. The slope is the coefficient of x. The y-intercept is the constant after. You're not going to really see it like that though, right? How are you really going to see it? Y is just going to equal -2. If there is no slope or a 0 slope, they're not going to put that, okay? Then it could get even trickier because I might say this time your slope is undefined and your y-intercept, hey, there isn't any. Right off the bat, that's very uncommon. What type of line has an undefined slope? Horizontal or vertical? Vertical, which is your x equals, right? Remember, HOY. So this is your horizontal slope of 0, y equals. This is your vertical undefined x equals. And so here's the deal. Right now, can you write me a specific equation with an undefined slope and the no y-intercept? You can give me a general one. So here's a vertical line that doesn't have a y-intercept, right? Okay, as long as it's x equals 5. So, or 6, or 3, or 2, or anything. It just can't have a y-intercept, okay? All right, so that's that part of it. Now, are you ready for the new part? Okay, that's all stuff you know how to do. If I give you a line that says 0, -5, and 3, -1, take a minute to see what you could possibly do to figure out how to write this. Because how many points do you need to make a line? 2. Here they are. That will make a line. What would this line look like in slope-intercept form? So you need 2 things. You need the slope and you need the y-intercept. Without me having to teach this to you, how happy would I be if you could take what you learned in Unit 4 and do that? Try it. Take a minute or 2, whether you're at an individual desk or a table. Try it. Like I said, take 30 seconds and try to figure out how you could possibly find those 2 things. Because I know I've taught you them both. Go. Try it. What would you say is the easiest of these 2 to find? One of them is staring right in your face. It's staring right at you. You may not know it. Which is easier right now to find, Chris? B. Why? Because yeah.
Where x is 0, whatever.
Thank you. He said, I remember from finding x and y-intercepts, Mrs. You told us that when x is 0, the y-intercept is the y. So if I were to plot point 0, negative 5, 0 tells me don't move left or right, but go 5 down. Oh. So my y-intercept is whatever number is in the y spot when x is 0. Yes, 100% of the time. That was easy. This next one is still kind of easy, but it requires a little bit more work. How can you find the slope from 2 points? I showed you a lot of ways. It's actually on the back whiteboard right there. Yes.
For example, the Gill method.
The Gill method, right? So you could do the y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. All I mean by that is this. If I'm calling this point 1 and this point 2, isn't this the x from point 1 and this is the y from point 1? Yup. Isn't this the x from point 2 and isn't this the y from point 2? Yep. So you know what I do? I take 0, negative 5 and 3, negative 1, and I do something like this that I showed you how to do. Remember that? That's method 1 to find slope. Negative 1 minus negative 5 and 3 minus 0, which is the same as negative 1 plus 5. Can you go right to plus 5? Yep. 3 minus 0, which is 4 over 3. Got that? Hey, I know my slope is 4/3. If you don't want to do it that way, do you remember me showing you the table? Put it in a table. So if you have 0, negative 5 and 3, negative 1, could you do it that way? Sure. What's the difference from 0 to 3? I went up 3. From negative 5 up to negative 1, I went up 4. Put the change in the y over the change in the x, and you got 4/3, just like you did here. Remember stack and subtract? Okay, I am literally showing you, I'm not requiring you to use one over the other. You choose whichever one you want. So this is stack and subtract. If I have 0, negative 5, stacked on top of 3, negative 1, does it matter which one you put in on top? Nope. Okay, watch what I do. Boop, right? So I'm going to do negative 5 minus negative 1 and put it here. I'm going to do 0 minus 3 and put it there. Either way, you're going to get, in this case, this is interesting, you're going to get negative 4 over negative 3, which is what? Positive 4/3. You choose. You need to know one of them really well. You probably should know all 3 of them to some extent. This is probably the most common, okay? This is more for finding rate of change, but it'll work. You need to know how to get 4/3 quickly, okay? All right, so now that I know that between these 2 points, the slope is 4/3 and the y-intercept is negative 5, you have everything you need. It's just y equals 4/3 x minus 5. Are you with me? That's really all that there is today. So I would like to have you try this one, and then I got to show you one more thing, and then we're good to go. So go ahead and try this one at your desk. 4, negative 1, 0, 2. I want you to feel out which of these 3 ways feels the most natural to you. Pick one. What is your instinct? Like when you got to go find a slope, which of these 3 do you go to first? Okay, try that. Okay. What's the y-intercept? It's whatever y is when x is 0. So, do you know that that's 2 right away? Bonus. And which method did you use? How many of you, just out of pure curiosity, just did the subtraction method? Pretty standard. How many of you still like to do that rate of change? Okay. Anybody like to stack and subtract? Okay. All right, this is pretty common. That's the formula. Okay, so you are doing 2 minus -1 in your numerator and 0 minus 4 here, which is going to give you 3 over -4, and that is your slope. So when you have -3/4 as a slope and 2 as a y-intercept, your equation is -3/4 x plus 2. Are you good so far with that? Okay, I got to show you one more crazy thing. For those of you who were here Friday, remember what Friday was? Friday was, hey guys, there's something called function notation that I have to show you. Remember that? So in your notes, I want you to go ahead and write function notation. And remember that function notation looks like this. And you say that f of x. It's not f times x, okay? It's just f of x. And it's really the same as what? It's just y. F of x is really just y, okay? So if I give you something that says this, it says f at 0 is equal to 5, and f at 4 is equal to 17. Write an equation in slope-intercept form. You're probably going to go, well, wait a second. You got to give me like some ordered pairs. Well, here's the thing. They did. They just put in like some secret code message. Here's the deal. You got to figure out what the x is and what the y is. What is your pure guess? Not me, might not be a pure guess. F, what did I say about, remember on Friday when it's in the parentheses? It's the x, right? And what is f of 0 really? If it's equal to y, then that's y. So, what do you think this ordered pair is? 0, 5. That's it. Why do they have to do that? Not sure. I think just come right out and give you the ordered pair. But this got to be sneaky, right? So f at 4 is 17. That means the x is 4 and the y is 17. Now can you write the equation in slope-intercept form? Yeah. Because the slope and the y-intercept, well, what's the y-intercept? It's whatever the y is when x is 0. So I know I'm going to have a plus 5 here. And now I just have to pick a method to find the slope. They're kind of far apart, but that's okay. That's what you're going to see me do. And please, when you do this, this is not a step that you can skip. I need to see this. Because if you calculate wrong, I don't know what you did. I don't know if you set it up wrong or if you just messed it up in your head. You must show this as part of your work. This is the way I get in your head to know whether you're doing it right or wrong. What is your slope? 3. Now that you have your slope and your y-intercept, you can write, actually I got it here. Good? Writing for equations, linear equations in slope-intercept form when given to